My favourite level, Metropolis one. Alright, welcome to Metropolis Zone, which for some reason has 3 acts, but luckily we skipped the second one entirely, so that's good. This level has so many moving parts, so many different frame perfect things to it, and there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. I'm going to go over my method, and if you want to cut out any sections of it and play the level slightly more normally, go for it. I can't explain every single variation of every route in this level because it's just so sprawling, there's so many different ones. I'm going to explain 2 main ones. So, from the very start, we're going to spin dash and jump off the very peak of this upward slope, nearest the end of this upward slope, so that we hit the roof with our head here. So, like this, we're going to hold right all the way through until we're running up the wall of this and jump, so that we angle ourselves up there. Hold left and jump once you're on this upward slope to land immediately on this thing and get up there with the first cycle of its bounce. There's one other thing you can do here if you want to be really risky or play ILs for this level, is jump here and then frame perfectly glide through this mesh, which we'll get to later on in the level here. Knuckles can clip through the bottom of these meshes by gliding on the exact frame before he lands, like that. And that wraps you around to the top of the screen where we're going to be in a second anyway. That only saves like literally 1 second, so but for full game runs I don't do that, because frame perfect press avoiding is absolutely fine. Go to the far left and spin dash and jump over that crab, otherwise it'll probably hit you. I do a 3-tap spin dash and then stop here with a glide. I wait for these pistons to move upwards, spin dash under them, jump and grab onto the wall. Do it sooner than that before they come back down. This isn't as dangerous as it looks, it's actually fine. Again, this thing only saves like half a second to 1 second, but it's easy to do, so I guess I'll mention it. So you grab onto this wall, let them push you in. Only once they've pushed you down after going to that wall, press jump once and you'll descend down here. And you'll land, spin dash, jump off that upward slope and land on these platforms. The other way to get to these platforms, the normal way, is to go past this, run onto the switch. You either, if you're lucky, you can run straight onto the switch. If you're not, you can spin dash onto it like that, wait for that to descend and go there. Or you can jump onto the switch and jump down there like that. Either way, run onto the switch and turn around, and then you're at these platforms. If you're on a decent cycle of them, you can drop down the right hand side straight away without them having moved in the way here. Drop down the right hand side and turn around so that you fall into this alcove. We're trying to get here, basically. If you drop down the middle of them, you can glide into this alcove like that and land here. Or if you miss this alcove and land here, you can take the spring up, jump and glide in there. So once you're at this point, if you're stationary, do a 3-tap spin dash and then hold left to slow down once you hit this button. If you're already running, it's better to just jump here and carry on. And hold left at this point. You want to land as far left into this slope here and roll down it to get as much speed as possible. And jump into the roof here and start holding right. Unfortunately, Knuckles can't do the Metro 1 strat here that Sonic can do. It's not quite possible for him. So instead we're going to hit this red spring. So slow down before you get to this red spring and jump to hit it. Optimally, you want to jump so that it forces you into the slope. That would be nice. And then as you're about just past 45 degrees up the slope, you're going to jump off of it. Or you could not jump off of it and get bounced up like that. So that's the 2 ways of doing that. You can either just, if you miss the spring, just turn around and spin dash back at it. You can either choose to not jump off this slope even, go up here and get hit by these yellow bouncers and start going. If that's the case, hold jump the entire time so that they do big bounces on you. And once you're at this point, about to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. After you've bounced the 4th time, hold right, and then you should actually clear this corner without bonking it. You can either do this, hold right, clear that corner like that if you hold right at the right point. Alternatively, you can jump, after hitting the red spring, you can jump on the slope there and go like that, which is slightly faster. That jump is a bit specific. Either way, once you're down here, you just let yourself run down the slope. You can fall to the left of the slope again to get a bit more speed. Once you're here, jump before you hit this. Once you're on the flat ground, jump before you hit this mesh. And then you have to do a frame perfect glide press as you hit the bottom of this mesh, which is really awkward because it's really hard to see how many frames you are away from the bottom of this thing. If you miss it, you come to this side, jump off again and keep trying. There you go, and that's what you want to see. So if you are too close to the right hand side of this wall, you will actually land on the ground here. Or grab the wall, which you also don't want, but you can land on the ground here where the ground's solid. You actually want to be at least one block over so that you fall through onto this section. This is where we want to end up. Once we're down on here, I do a 3-tap spin dash and jump onto here, and then there's two. This is where the routes split again. There's two different ones. I try and do a frame perfect box clip to get through the next section. I'm gonna dub it nutless nut because it skips the nut clip. In order to align ourselves to get the frame that you need to clip through the box, we need to actually jump into the bottom of this nut here, which is actually a very tight window. It's either like a 1 or 2 frame window jumping off the corner of this ground there. Then once you're against this wall, hold nothing, and we're just going to pause on the way down to try and hit the right frame. So we're going to clip into the wall to the right of this box the same way we did at Casino 2. So we just need to press glide frame perfectly as we're about to hit this box. At this speed, the distances away from the box are going to look different than you are in Casino 2, because Casino 2 you're falling slightly slower, now you're falling faster. This frame right here is actually 1 frame away. So if I unpause and jump the frame after I unpause, I will clip through the box. And then you go backwards from there. If Knuckles is about here, that's 2 frames away. If Knuckles is about here, that's 3 frames away. If you miss the box, well, I'll show the clip through the box first. So you hear, if you grab the wall, this is the same for Casino 2, I didn't show this in Casino 2. If you grab the wall like this, you just tap down, and you fall through as well. If you miss the glide, maybe you're a bit more frame late like that, jump onto this nut, and do the same thing as Sonic does on this nut, where you descend the screen all the way to the bottom, then let go of down and jump, and you get a screen wrap. You will be crushed by the nut if you jump too late. So you want to wait until you see about 3.5 bars worth of this brown background under this green ceiling, and then unpause and jump. I think this is a 2 or 3 frame window, so it's not the worst. Oh, that was slightly too early of a jump, so I didn't get through the ground. To make this extra safe, you can also wind this nut all the way down to the bottom, and then you don't even get crushed by it. Here, and you can jump anytime. So either way, whether you've got through the box like that or got through the nut, spin dash down to there, spin dash onto the right side of here to be aligned with this wall, and do a really fast spin dash to release as soon as you've cleared the ceiling here, like that. And you jump over and you'll make it over there. If you're unlucky, this spike will be up on a certain timing. You'll get hit by it, knocked up onto the other one, but you can still jump back up and make your way here. Once you're on this flat ground, jump. And then when you're about to land on this grey button, hold left and do a glide just before you hit the ground, so be running to the left like that, and you'll run straight down the door that you opened immediately. Turn around in here, fast spin dash on there, hold down as you land on here, hold right as you land down here, so you go down onto the right side, hold down again as you're about to land on these slopes, so you're holding down all the way down here. 2 possibilities can happen here. Either you stop dead when you land on this ground here, or stop dead, or you actually keep some momentum sometimes and you roll to the right. Either way, if you stop dead, you can do a spin dash here. It has to be a really fast spin dash in order to get over this yellow thing without being bounced. It has to either be really fast or a particular speed of 5-tap. I'm not too sure on it. But it's very likely you hit this yellow thing and get bounced backwards, so normally it's more worth it to do what would happen if you landed here and did not stop dead. You would be rolling in this direction, jump over to this, stop yourself by glide stepping on here, and then spin dash from that point instead. Okay, the other way of doing things, if you haven't gone down for this frame perfect box clip, if you don't feel like an extra frame perfect input for this level, because there are too many already, instead of jumping into the bottom of this nut at this point, you're up here, you jump on top of this nut and you go up the top way. So spin dash here, jump over here to land on the right side, go down the right side of this nut. Little spin dash and really short tap jump so that you don't hit so you don't bonk on the roof there. Oh, okay, I guess just spin dash over there. If the spike is up, you can spin dash and do a really short tap jump and actually make it through that gap, but otherwise just spin dash over there. It's been a while since I did this route then. Stop yourself with a glide there, here, and then jump and climb onto this wall. If you do it fast enough, these star views won't. You'll just glide up here, grab onto this wall, climb up this wall for a little way, grab onto the other wall, and then climb up that wall like this. It's the fastest way of doing it on the right hand wall. Once you've climbed up this corner, 3-tap spin dash, jump, and land on here. That was actually a perfect landing. I wanted to actually either climb up here and stop there, or just do a glide stop at the top of there, like that. On this section, you spin dash, jump at the end of the slope here. This is slightly too late now. Oh no, it still works, okay. Jump at the end of that slope. Holding nothing, you'll just run up this. Once you're at the peak of this, jump, 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 and then glide into the bottom of this yellow bumper here. And then that will send you up onto here, and then this is the final section of the level again. That spot. One other way of doing this is if you don't feel like jumping up those slope jumps to the final yellow bumpers, you can basically do just as fast of a way by going up here and just spin dashing off and holding down, and you'll end up over here, which is again the end of the level. That's all the major routes that I would possibly take while running this game. You can kind of improvise each one depending on whether you land certain things or not. But I think that's everything on there for now. This level's much easier and a much bigger skip. With Knuckles, we're going to spin dash as fast as possible. We're going to wait until we pick up the third ring, and just after that, kind of near the bottom of this downward slope, we're going to jump. That's going to land us on this platform without getting hit first, and then getting hit here, which will put us perfectly on top of this sinking platform, which is what we want. If you hit the lava too soon, and you haven't landed on top of this platform, so you're just standing in the lava with iframes, pick up one of your rings that you just lost, and then stand facing left in about this position, so that the lava will just damage boost you naturally backwards onto this platform. And then sinking down on this platform, you want to hold right for a little bit, let go of right for a little bit, so that you land. There's a gap, if you imagine these two golden things, there's a gap here that you want to fall through in the ground. That's what we're aiming for. If you've gone too far to the right, you end up at this wall. All you have to do is jump out to the left and then hold back to the right, and you end up down here. This is where we're trying to get to. So it's possible, it's nice to fall all the way straight through that little gap, straight onto this section here. And the fastest way of doing this is shoutouts to Haiti for the different glide window, is to jump to the peak of your jump and glide at the peak of your jump, and you'll glide into here like this. It's very easy to actually glide like too low and not make it, or glide at a certain weird angle and not make it. There's only a certain window of gliding up here that works, but it's not too difficult. It's either a 2 or 3 frame window at the peak of your jump. So gliding at the peak of your jump, you're gonna glide into this wall. If you just hold glide, you're going to be grabbing onto a wall inside here, which you don't want. You don't want to grab onto the wall because that's slow. You want to actually let go of your. Oh, sorry. Yeah, don't hold right while you're doing this glide. Just hold nothing. So here, let go of glide, so that you drop down, and then you can zip. Once you've dropped down, standing on top of those spikes, you can hold right to zip. And then with that particular glide window, with gliding straight in there, you need to look for certain frames where you can release right, similar to Casino 2 level up, to have the correct speed to get through the level boundary. Okay, so with this glide window, I'm going to drop down here and zip from here. The frames to let go of right that work to get through the level boundary. After starting zipping, if you can see Knuckles here in the wall, with just a tiny little red triangle down near that pipe, you can let go of right, but then you have to do a tiny tap of right anytime while zipping before you hit the level boundary, and he'll go through it. If you don't do any tap of right, he'll hit the level boundary like this. You have to fall down, and you can actually just restart the level and attempt it again like this, as long as you have rings. Yeah, so from this point, let go of right if you've paused on this frame, but then tap right a tiny bit before you reach the level boundary. That will always work like that. This frame which should always work. If you let go of right on this frame, just let him go, that will get through the level boundary. Oh, I grabbed onto the wall by mistake there. This frame can work, but often doesn't if you've landed in a slightly different spot. If you let go of right here, you can go through the level boundary, nice. This one is where it ends. That's the last one for that window. There we go. This frame, again, I think you can just let go of right, and it was the end. Yeah. So that's the first one. The one before that, you have to tap right a little bit after unpausing. This one, you can just let go of right. One frame after this, that you can just let go of right and it'll work. And one frame after this, you can just let go of right and this work. And that one can actually work as well, but again, that's slightly variable depending on exactly where you landed in the wall. The second window that starts working here is once this green block has started appearing on the left side of the screen. So here, that should work. Here, that should work. And here, that should work. All the way up until, actually, this won't work anymore though. Oh, it does. Okay, I've got a particularly good one here. But again, these windows aren't normally this large if you, depending on exactly where you've landed in the wall to start zipping. But the average ones to go for are when Knuckles is positioned here, when Knuckles is positioned here. There's the two that should always work from around this area. Like the first frame you see him outside that green, the second frame you see him outside that green. And then the second frame you see this green block come on the left side of the screen, and up until about the fourth frame you see this green block come onto the left side of the screen until this frame here. There's a lot of different windows that work for passing through the level boundary when you let go right on those frames anyway. And then in order to hit the signpost as soon as possible, you actually want to wait until you see this row of rings going up the wall here, and then you can hard left. Hit the signpost. And you can get 14s with that, but 15 is the decent time. Provided you like fallen nicely down from that platform in the lava straight through that gap in the floor there. Alright, and then Metropolis 3, this is the hardest level in the run probably for Knuckles, if you're going for the level wrap. If you're not going for the level wrap, I'll leave that to someone else because I have still never learnt the level properly. Okay, so from the start, we're going to do a 6-tap spin dash, jump after these rings but before the enemy, so we're going over him like that, and then running off the edge here and holding left so that we don't bonk into this edge of this wheel thing. And the goal is to land immediately on this green ground in between these two steam vents. Like that. As soon as you land, jump off of here. And the fastest way to do it would be to have jumped so that you're flush with this wall and coming down towards this box here, which I didn't quite get. But the second fastest way to do it is add in one more jump by landing on the ground. It doesn't work bouncing off this enemy, it has to be from this ground. Then do a full jump there. If you do it fast enough, those things wouldn't have come back around. So you can do a full jump here. It has to be a full jump. And then you're going down for another box clip. This box clip is like only saves a few seconds and is perfectly optional, but it's worth giving it a go because you're going past this section of the level anyway. Again, you have to. This is 3 frames away from the box, I'm pretty sure here. There you go, got in. There's a 1 frame away, which is here, and then a 2 frame away, which is here, and you can get used to which ones look like which. If you're grabbing the wall like that, you press down, turn around to the right, make sure you turn around to the right, and then spin dash to drop down. You're over here. If you don't hit the box clip, you'll be over here. Collecting the rings is still actually useful for the boss fight. You can jump over this guy, run to the top of the slope, jump up here. Either climb the end of that wall, or you can actually get the instant run on the top of that. Anyway, go into this tube, turn around to the left, spin dash down here, and then you're in the same place as if you would have got the box clip anyway. It's only a few seconds difference. So from here, here's the hard part. I'm going to spin dash off here, collect a couple of these rings for the boss fight if you don't have, because you need at least probably 3 rings for the boss fight to make sure you don't die on it. This piston we're going to use to clip into the ground, and it's very precise, and you have to be able to do a straight jump on purpose. So before you even start going under this piston, it's best to practice doing straight jumps on purpose. In order to do that, start up a spin dash of any speed, pause, and then, well, you could have your own method, but this is the method I use. In order to do a straight jump, I'm paused while spin dashing, I let go of all buttons, and then I jump 2 frames after unpausing. So I press the jump button followed by jumps very quickly afterwards, like that. and I fairly consistently can do straight jumps out of a paused spin dash, which is what you're going to need to make this clip work. So once you're somewhere decently consistent at that, we're going to run into the side of this piston. Now the timing of the piston isn't in time with the music, isn't in time with flipping anything. It's very awkward. And you're not going to have a visual cue to be able to do this other than when the piston previously retracted. So the goal is to pause in a 2-frame window as the piston is coming down about to crush you. And I'll try and show you both of those frames. So go, once it's opened, go under it, spin dash facing to the right. This is one of the frames that works. This is the last frame that works out of the 2-frame window. If you see this frame or one frame before this, I'll show you what one frame before this looks like. Frame advance. I'll explain about this frame in a second. You see this frame is the first frame of the 2-frame window that works, and this frame is the second frame of the 2-frame window that works. Either of those, then you do your straight jump on purpose action out of a pause spin dash. Then you can clip into the ground. So the way I recommend to time that window of the piston coming back down, the best way I've found, it's still not perfect, is to count to 7 on the bass line of the song that's playing. So if you hear, turning it up, if you hear the bass line as the piston goes up, so start counting from when the piston has retracted and hits not in view at all anymore. Right? So you can hear the bass line going dun, 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 at that speed, at kind of speed. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then on the 7th it's coming back down. This is slightly variable because it's not going to go up exactly in time with when a bass note is starting, of course. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it's slightly later than that because you have to get a feel for it. It's ridiculously precise, and you don't have to go for this level up by all means. But I love this stuff, so this is what I'm trying to explain. So the counting to 7 thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now it's going to be very close to coming down. So if you pause, you can try and unpause and repause really quickly. And unfortunately, this is 1 frame late. You can't hit the jump out of that frame. That's always a death if you're 1 frame late there. I want to show one other frame here that isn't in that 2-frame window. It's 1 frame earlier than it. But you can still see that the piston has started descending. So on this frame, when you can see only the yellow of the end of the piston peeking out, that's what I call the 1 frame early, because it is 1 frame early of the 2-frame window. You can still make this work. You have 2 choices. Either you just abandon and go for the next cycle, so you just spin dash out, because it doesn't crush you at this point if you just release the spin dash, like that, and then go in again for the next cycle. Or, there we go. So if you think about what the inputs are in the normal 2-frame window, or doing a straight jump out of a paused spin dash, you're jumping exactly 2 frames after unpausing. So what's happening is, you've been holding down for the spin dash before you pause it, and after you pause it, you're letting go of down. So the first frame after unpausing the paused spin dash, you've pressed nothing, so you've just released down for 1 frame, and then the frame after that, you're jumping, and you're getting the straight jump. So knowing that, you can then apply this to 1 frame earlier on this piston. So if you're 1 frame early on the window, all you need to do, I say all you need to do, is really ridiculously technical. Instead of letting go of down before you unpause, you unpause and let go of down a frame after you unpause. And then jump a frame after that. Like that. I can't believe I actually did it. Illustrating my point. So you can still hit that clip on that 1 frame early pause there, but it's pretty dangerous. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if you hit one of the actual 2-frame windows here, you just do your straight jump out of an unpaused spin dash, and pause again in order to, well, it helps me to pause again. You don't have to, in order to time your glide into this wall after this. So the fastest possible way would be to glide immediately after clipping into the ground. Okay, so you're spin dashing under the piston, you've hit your 2-frame window. You do a perfect straight jump out of spin dash. And then you pause immediately. If you glide immediately after that, you actually hit the solid part of the floor. If you glide a tiny bit after, immediately after that. Then you'll glide over to there, and you want to stop gliding very quickly so that you are not past this golden pipe. And you want to land on top of these spikes like that. This is what we're trying to get to. That's the fastest way of doing it, but it's very tricky to hit that glide window. So the much safer way of doing it, that doesn't lose much time, is to wait until you've fallen a little bit down here, and then glide, and you'll grab a wall here, and then you can just climb up this wall and then drop down in the same place. Once you're in this exact spot, if you see Knuckles' head like this, I keep saying all you have to do on like the hardest possible things. All you gotta do is hold right for exactly 2 frames and pause so that it looks like this. Once you're in this exact spot, you jump the frame after unpausing, the exact frame after unpausing. You'll have enough speed to break the level boundary. To make this slightly safer, you have a slight chance of getting a half speed zip here, which will stop it from working if your horizontal subpixels are in a particularly unfortunate range. It's quite a low chance, but in order to avoid that slightly more, you can zip for only 1 frame by pressing right for 1 frame and pausing, and you'll be here, and then you can zip for 1 frame more and be in the same place again. And if you have bad subpixels, you'll see that this first zip has only moved you half of the distance that it would here. This is the correct distance you want it to move you. You can see that it only moves you half of the distance, and then, if that's the case, you want to zip back to the left for a couple of frames, do a jump to realign yourself, align yourself in this position, or in that exact this position that you started in, and then do the same thing, zip towards there in 1 frame increments until you're 1 frame zipped out of here, and then jump the frame after you unpause in that spot. If you hold right for too long, it's going to look kind of the same at this point, but you saw, maybe, for 1 frame you saw that Knuckles went a bit further and kind of bounced back, and now you're not going to have any speed coming out of that zip, and that'll happen. So you want to make sure you've only pressed it for 1 frame coming out of the wall. It doesn't matter if you miss it by zipping no frames if you hit pause and right on the same frame, because then you get more retries at it, you haven't really lost much time. But if you zip for 2 frames and pause, then you failed it, so you lose all the time. So that's that level wrap. And I'll leave someone else to explain the level normally. And this is this boss fight. Stand on this 4th line, or anywhere around here really, it's not that precise. Charge A spin dash. Wait until the bottom of Robotnik is about to touch the ground, and he switches directions. As soon as he switches directions, you want to be hitting him. So, like that. That will keep him on the ground. So the goal is, if you hit him at exactly the right time, you break this egg that breaks off him at the same time as hitting him, and he stays on the ground for longer. If you hit him at any other time, he flies immediately off the ground, and you can't get 3 hits like this. So you just hit him like now, say, he flies immediately off the ground, and you can't get more hits. So you need to hit him at this exact timing for him to stay down on the ground. Jump. You can either end up being damage based to the left of him or the right of him. The left of him is slightly nicer, slightly more lenient. And then, so as soon as you got that hit and he's staying on the ground, you jump at him 1 more time, he'll bounce back down to the ground and get a 2nd hit, and then jump at him a 3rd time while you still have iframes. Oh, that was too early. Jump at him a 3rd time while you still have iframes and get that 3rd hit. So you're looking for 3 hits every time you do this. Stop thinking too early. Too late now. There we go. 2, 3. And then break these little Eggmen that come off him as early as possible, and that'll start him descending as early as possible again. So this one's different. This one you can't just time with him getting to the ground. You have to watch the eggs flying around him. So you're looking at these 2. There's 2 eggs that are spaced out, and there's 2 eggs that are right next to each other. You're looking at these 2 eggs that are right next to each other, and as they come around to being in this position, these 2 eggs closer together, this left one is going to be coming down to his bottom left corner of his sprite is when you want to hit him. And that will break that egg at the same time as hitting him and keep him on the ground lower again. If he's moved to the right for that first hit, you'll have much less space to do that. You'll be squished up right in the right hand side of the corner of the screen. He'll be moving towards you, but you should still have time to do it if you watch them carefully. And then for the last 2 hits, the easiest way is to wait for him to be close to the ground, wait for this egg to be out of the way of whichever side you're rolling into him from, and then roll into him, and then jump slightly later as he becomes vulnerable again as he was rising up. Luckily you don't have to do the ridiculously hard boss fight manipulating tails that Sonic does on this one. I think that's all I have to say about this level. There's lots of actual level to cover on different tutorials.